Okay, so
This should not take too long. To be honest, the case against this courthouse proposal is pretty obvious, so we're not going to belabor it and take too much time. Two, possibly three major issues with the proposal that the county is making. One, at a bare minimum, it will cost at least $287 million.
How much is the library going over budget when I think it was like a $160 million bond initiative for the new central library? It's now, was it about close to $250 million?
No, it started at 90, it went to 130.
Started at 90, went to 130. Exactly. This is the bare minimum cost would be $287 million. By contrast, the Austonian cost, what, $250? $250 million for a bigger building 2 blocks down. So just do the math on that. Realistically, factoring in interest and cost overruns, it will probably cost more, around $400 to $600 million for a 14-story courthouse. Now, in addition to that, it's being built on prime real estate downtown. If the proposed site is on 4th Street and Guadalupe, if you know where the park is in the federal courthouse, there's a parking lot on one of them. It's one of the last pieces of open space downtown, and that's where they want to build it. It would be a logistical and traffic nightmare. You're putting more cars on an already overcrowded downtown road system. In addition to that, it's a government building, which means people are going to be coming in at 9 a.m. and leaving at 5 p.m. So you're putting all of these cars on downtown streets right the worst part of rush hour. Now, as an alternative to that, council members Don Zimmerman, this is being done by Travis County. The election is going to be held on November 3rd. Early voting starts October 19th. It's being done at the same time as the state constitutional amendments. It's on the same ballot. Don Zimmerman and Ora Houston have proposed coming up with an alternative site on the east side that would basically, it would be less expensive to build because it's less expensive to build out than it is to build up. So you can do it over more space. You'd have a lot more parking, which is actually a big issue with anything related to downtown infrastructure. I mean, try parking downtown. And it would be easier to get to for basically everyone in Travis County except people who already live or work downtown. So the case against it and the case for coming up with a more sensible proposal is pretty obvious. If anyone has any questions, I can answer them, but that's the short version.
Do they have a reason why they want it downtown in such a tough place to play?
They would argue that they want to have it in a central location because it makes it easier for people to get to from all directions. That is the argument they would make, and that they would, my more cynical take on that would be they're government people and they think they're entitled to prime real estate.
But it is the county, right? So there's no reason it needs to be in the city.
State law says it needs to be in the county seat. So it just has to be somewhere within the Austin city limits. Like you couldn't build it in Manor or Spicewood, but anywhere in Austin's fair game.
Bob's going to pick it out or something.
This is supposed to be for family courts.
Family and civil courts.
So they're saying that the poor people would be able to get there by bus, where if they built it in an outlier, they wouldn't have that bus availability.
That's what they say. I mean, bus routes can be redesigned. You know, we were just talking about transportation, and we don't need to have that whole discussion all over again. But, you know, there are ways to transport people to the east side without adding a whole bunch more cars and more parking on an already overburdened downtown road system.
And just the basic economics of this, the bond initiative, they want to raise the property taxes $15.75 per 100,000 valuation. They're understating on their own website. Bond initiative fails. The land, which they purchased for what, $21 million, goes back on the market. The county will make a profit on it. And it's one of the few pieces of land undeveloped downtown which has no capital viewing corridor restrictions. So was it Don Zimmerman's estimates? Was it $87 million a year?
Yeah.
Goes back on the back on the tax records.
Lower than Brad?
Yeah, lower than Brad.
So I saw the quote from Leslie Poole and says the council should stay out of it, basically. So that's one question I'd like a comment that you have on that. And then second, who's gonna watch the votes down at Central County?
Right.
I'm serious.
I know, and
Who's
that,
gonna print the tapes? Who's gonna make sure the Republican Party prints the tapes? And
Can you repeat what she said because I couldn't hear?
she was asking about who's going to actually make sure that we get an accurate count on the votes for this because of her case, and who's going to make sure that the Republican Party prints the tapes. I will call James Dickey about that tomorrow morning.
you do that.
What was your other question?
The thing about Leslie Poole.
Oh, yeah. Leslie Poole. So Leslie Poole, who is the city council member for District 7, the hearing that was held in the council last week was the Audit and Finance Committee. Kathy Tovo's the chair, Ellen Troxler's the vice chair, and then Leslie Poole and Pio Renteria are the two other members who are on that committee. What Leslie Poole was saying is that basically she was appealing to bureaucratic solidarity, and you don't step on, we can't step on their toes because they also work for a different level of government, and we're government, so we need to all protect each other. That's, watch the archive footage, but that's basically what she
We
said.
have 1 more minute left for this.
Brad.
Do you guys, and there's a few more of you, I think, you've already had some meetings. Have you decided to organize a PAC or an official campaign or anything like that?
That's all in the process of getting worked out. We're getting to see how many names we collect. We're probably going to create some sort of an organization. The working title we came up with last week was Austinites for Accessible Justice.
That's still being worked out. But
Yeah.
one more thing I'd like to bring up, which was the council member who said
Were
that.
you consulted by Edward Bernays or some PR campaign for that?
Media matters.
The whole social injustice thing? That'll win in Austin.
Exactly.
Which was the council member who said that if they're going to go with the East Austin proposal, that they should move everything out in East Austin?
That was Pio Renteria, and that's actually not a bad idea either. You move a lot of the, I think another partial solution to a lot of the traffic issues, as I've been looking into this, would be to put a lot more of the governmental facilities, the city, the county, and the state, take them all out of downtown. And that's actually the #1 driver of traffic is people going to work for the state. You just boot them over to the eastern part of the county, and all of a sudden the traffic situation downtown improves dramatically.
One more thing I'd like to bring up is that they've been talking about replacing the Thurman Criminal Justice Center since it was built in 2001. They basically want to clone that particular vertical courthouse and build it downtown. And so we're going to spend, what, $300 million in tax dollars for a building that people want to knock down in 15 years?
We have one more question. We gotta be done with this.
Trevor.
Okay.
First, I want to commend Don for reaching out to different allies on this issue. So I think that was great. Has there been any sites in, outside the downtown core that you would fit this description of something where you could build a courthouse complex?
That was the purpose of the resolution that the council that the council debated last week, was to identify a really good one. There's a couple potential places you could work with basically off of MLK. But that would be part of that.
Look at a photo all around Travis County Expo Center. Travis County Expo Center.
Travis County Expo Center. Excellent. Election day is November 3rd. Early voting starts October 19th. It's the same ballot as the state constitutional amendments. Please just make sure at a minimum, we can use all the help we can get. At a minimum, please come out and vote and bring 7 people with you when you do.
Thank you, Evan Lehman. Actually, we have a few more. I hope that, so we're going to run over just a little bit. If you have to leave